Absolute carnage in the markets right now. Bitcoin holding up relatively well. Have we bottomed for Bitcoin? We're seeing absolute destruction in the altcoin space. What do we make of it? What are we doing right now in this market? Let's get this retweeted. Let's get this out to the friends and family. Make sure people are aware of what is going on here because we are in for incredible frustration, pain, gain, all depending on what we are doing in this market. We're about to dive into it right now. Let's get it going. Let's go. It just feels nonstop in the market these days. And when we dive in, I just want to highlight what is going on because, all relatively speaking, we're still very beautifully in this bull market. When we look at this zoomed out in a couple different, very simplified charts, what do we see? We see this losing this trend line. However, still holding above this previous range high. If we look at this a little bit more zoomed out with a couple more lines, looking at the trend line that goes all the way back here to essentially the beginning of 2023, the end of 2022. What do we see? Trend line here, established here, and this intersects a beautiful zone that if we do continue to fall, this is still within the context of a bull trend. I start getting worried if this breaks down here and loses this level into this, which we have not done yet. We got to take it one step at a time because we are seeing signs of life in the charts. We are seeing potential flight to safety, flight to just at least hope within Bitcoin, with the carnage going on with the Chinese tariffs, with what's going on with even the EU imposing reciprocal tariffs on the US. What is going on? Where is the market going? Because we're seeing across the board, we go out to the yearly. We still think that we've been in a bullish market over the last year and a half. And just over the last year, look, you're not seeing that many green bubbles. Even Bitcoin, look how small Bitcoin's bubble is compared to last year. It's only up 7.4% from last year, which is kind of bizarre. If you consider, I don't know how that's possible. There's no way that's possible. Is that right? 7.4% from last year. Let's go ahead and look at the chart because that looks like it is erroneous. Let's go 12 months back, April 3rd. Now we come back over here. Oh yeah, that makes sense. April 3rd, that would be somewhere right around in this zone. Let's look. Yeah, we're about only about 7% up. That is correct. Sometimes you don't trust, but verify. But the point being is when we're looking at these charts in the retest of a previous range high, we look at this on this other more macro chart, zoomed out just a bit. We do have this trend line to this area where the price has fallen below this, but this is that zone that I've had marked out for some time with the horizontal intersection, with the rising level of support. In addition to, what is this other line? Previous range high here, giving us a perfect box zone that we're currently sitting right on top of. Is there reason to fear right now in the market? Is the Bitcoin bull market over? Are altcoins absolutely dead? When we look at Bitcoin, currently it's still testing these regions, but when we come over here and we look at the total three minus all the stables, it's completely lost the plot here from this previous range high come down. This is mostly representative of also a lot, not only Bitcoin dropping, but altcoins dropping. When we look at the others chart, this is just basically two full cycles. Everybody, oh my God, we're going to the moon, complete reset. Oh my God, we're going to the moon, complete reset. The question is, are we in for a lot more pain? Is this going to drop a lot further? Or are we coming into a zone of, sort of reversal in the crypto market? It feels like it's kind of darkest before the dawn right now with absolute just bloodbath with everything going on in the markets. But let's go through a couple of the reasons why, what's going on. Shout out to everybody that is tuned in. Welcome to the BitLab Academy family. Welcome to, hey, we're trying to do our best to keep you updated on the data, what the different strategies are, what the signals are that we're paying attention to, because this is absolute mass trigger of emotional fear and hope and greed. And all of these things are just presenting themselves on a daily basis. And there's a lot of conflicting signals. So how are you doing, everybody? You know what? I just resolved the market is just in max frustration mode right now. And again, we got to find gratitude in our life and our friends and our family and ourself. We're still here before the majority of the world. And we're in the middle of a resetting, a resettling, a rebalancing of the global economic stage and what that means. And of course, we're seeing a lot of uncertainty in the markets. It can get frustrating. But remember, if we were so bullish before and we're getting so much better prices now, I mean, I find gratitude in that. I know I'm going to be stacking into it. And the stuff I'm not stacking, I'm fairly committed to right now. And I'd like to lower those average entries in any way possible when I do find those opportunities. When we look at the crypto coin market cap, we're still $2.41 trillion zone. So it's not the end of the world. We're starting to see some potential signs of double bottoms that are coming in here. Boom, 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 boom. We see this also here on XRP. We see a little bit higher low here on BNB. We see right here on Solana. Let me zoom this out just a little bit. I'm going to go like this. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to shape this. It's so hard to do all these. There we go. There we go. Boom. Just like that. I'm going to trim this down just a touch. I'm trying to get this the perfect visual setup for everybody so we can see what the heck is going on here. Let's go just like that. Should be good. But we got to just be patient here because there's so much going on. And the question is the global money supply going to be to sort of save the day moment here? Because not only are we projecting a pretty massive blast off here, we've already seen the uptick on the global money supply. And this is in the face before we had these massive market turmoils presenting on the global economy, global finance, global trade, and everything that we are seeing right now. This has already taken place. When you move this over 108 days, which is about where the lag is on the global liquidity versus what we're seeing on the Bitcoin price, currently, look at this yellow line. This kind of forecasted exactly what we're seeing on the price. The question is, do we break this structure in the fear and the uncertainty where this actually breaks down and then we get the relief later? Or is this about to completely shake the trend? And this would be similar, just so you note, this would be very similar to what we saw charted from Matthew Hyland in the price action coming down, having the chop zone. Kevin Svensson also pointed this out, bit of a chop zone before we essentially form a new base, which was essentially what this would be before we follow the global money up. More liquidity in systems in a time right now with max uncertainty, gold performing incredibly well. Every other metric is basically conflicting signals for what we're seeing right now, which could really usher in that flight to safety, not only in gold, but also Bitcoin really taking its position on the world stage as a flight to safety. So I'm asking right now, do you think the market is completely over? Is Bitcoin, is it dead? Because I think that we're right on the cusp, the event horizon of the most magnificent transition on a global economy and financial sovereignty and democratic money system, Bitcoin taking its place, rightly so, on the world stage in a major fashion. And if this plays out, this would completely buck the trend of everything we're seeing right now with all the red in the markets. Do not forget, it's not just Bitcoin, but do not forget what we saw back here in March of 2020. The world was over. The markets are dead. Turned out to be the best opportunity for Bitcoin, on this sell-off, essentially taking a price from up here about the $14,000 range to a 72% decline. Prior to this, it was about 56%, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, look at that, 54%. Okay, that's the bottom, and then we get the washout, the real final washout. Now, again, when we come back over to the price action of what we're seeing right now, while this does look constructive in some regards, we're looking at this. Where is my Coinbase chart? Right here. We do see the bull div right here. The price action came right down into our target. If you're watching, you would have seen it. We have the descending level of support. We do have the death cross, which means the bull market's over if you're not paying attention, because we've seen this before. 67 days from when this broke down under, this is a cross right here, the 50 moving average moving under the 200-day moving average. We marked that from when this actually broke back above, came down, found support, and actually cleared, really, because look at this. It cleared the 200-day there, the purple line. But this is where it came down, found support, and started. This is where we're measuring that to. 67 days after the market was supposed to be dead. And from that point, even from this point right here, that was still a 72% increase after the bull market was supposed to be dead. Similarly, we see it back here. I mean, did the bull market end September 2023? I don't believe it did. We see right in the zone from where this took place on the confirmation breaking back up. I mean, we see just in this next move, 74%. So 74% up after the bull market was dead, 72% up in this next time back over here after this bull market was dead. Similarly, we saw it again right here, death cross, bull market's dead. Well, after this took place, we saw this was not as substantial, but about a 49, 50% move to the upside. This ultimately ended up being the top of the market. But the point right now here is patience. Do not fall for the trap of the trend of the emotional, ultimate frustration everybody's feeling. These tend to be the best opportunities. The question is, and I'm not going to lie to you, this is not going to be easy. Some of you are more emotional than others. Some of you are more over allocated than you should be. You have too much risk exposure and it's making you more stressed. Some of you maybe been on the fence about when to get in. And now why would you get in when it's dropping? And I cannot tell you when to buy. I cannot tell you when to sell. In fact, I will not do that. I'm telling you on a strategy basis, especially if you have a mid to long-term outlook, this is a great discount from this January 20th inauguration day high, which is, we're pushing down here in the 32, 33% drop rate. It's not that much, about 31, 32% drop. And what we've seen in previous cycles is, even right here in this previous drop at that zone, that is a 30% drop. Okay, we saw right here another 21% drop. We saw another 20% drop there. I mean, look at this drop here before we ultimately got the all-time high after 55% drop before it actually made its new all-time high. And we're not even going to talk about back here in the, this previous, I don't remember which chart it is. Let me see, zoom out. I have one chart. This one, I don't remember, one of these charts. It's got them all marked out. There's between 8 and 11 of 15 or 25% or more dips to the downside in this 2017 cycle. This is all par for the course still. And yet we're still seeing stronger cases for bullishness when we're looking forward. We have the money supplies ticking up. Beyond that, we also see the max frustration. Swap spreads. What the hell is a swap spread, right? Swap spreads drop to new record low as market freezes up. This won't stop until the Federal Reserve steps in. So what does this mean? I asked Grok just so we could clear it out specifically and more easily for everybody. This is important because the phrase SOFR, this is basically the secured overnight financing rate, 3-year. And there's also the 30-year, which ticked up massively. This refers to the 3-year swap spread. What it implies, market stress. A deeply negative 3-year SOFR swap spread often signals that banks are facing tighter credit conditions. And also we're seeing basically funding squeezes, issues with funding. And then we go back to what we just saw here with the global liquidity and the more impact about why they may need to turn on the money printers or quantitative easing or whatever it is they're going to do. And we're seeing the impact on the CME. This is the FedWatch tool right here, where the other day, this is at almost 50% for May, the next FOMC, Federal Open Market Committee meeting about potential Fed rate cuts. And then later on that day, this dropped to 23%. And now it's back up to 44% for May. But then you look over at this, and what we're looking at, currently we're at 425 to 450 basis points. Basically the interest rate, 4.25 to 4.5 interest rate, that federal funds rate. That's what this is referring to. So this is the same. This is a bet that it's going to stay the same. This is lower. This is a bet that the Fed is going to cut rates. Let's look at June. Let's look at June. So June, we've got, look at this. They don't even have the pause on here anymore. So this would be a 58% chance for cut during the June FOMC Fed decision, but also a 41% chance for a larger cut than a lot of people are paying attention to. So this would be a major shift, a lot of more aggressive stance. Is this some of the reason why they're doing all these tariffs and the craziness in markets? Maybe. We got to see how this plays out. I know a lot of people are getting nervous with everything going on right now. Ugin Sky says this is a national security issue. Again, I don't know why every goddamn time I do these fucking comments, they change shapes and sizes. But you know what? We can be mad at the markets. We can be mad at tech. We're going to do this together. Let's adjust this every single time we do a new stream. All right, let's shake off the tech frustration, but it just bothers the living shit out of me. Sorry, guys. Now, coming back over here, what else we got? We're waiting for this money flow. We're getting conditions essentially suggesting that the funding, the liquidity is getting very tight. That further supports this potential money printing. Now, coming back, let's get it out of that. This is what we're talking about. We're getting the wrong things that everybody was assuming Secretary Bessent was looking for. We're getting the 10-year note yield up while the S&P 500 is down. In just 3 days, the 10-year note yield surged 60 basis points while the S&P 500 fell -8. The market, this marks the largest 3-day increase since 1982, one of the largest divergences in history. What happened? The basis trade broke. So this is starting to change the dynamic of what is going to need to happen with the Fed, with funding, with quantitative tightening and easing, what the path forward is going to be. The conditions only seem to be getting tighter. So when we understand this, everybody's starting to feel like Trump's holding a gun to the head of global markets. Because we also see the EU is to impose between 10% and 25% tariffs on U.S. goods. The U.S. is battling on multiple fronts now. The question is going to be right now, is this actually more of a concerted effort to bring as many countries together as possible? So it's not just the U.S. against China, but everybody, as a larger conglomerate, if you will, sort of co-ops into getting pressure on China. But I mean, ultimately, I hope this ends in a tariff war for no tariffs. But all we can do is let it play out as it does and protect ourselves, take trades where we find makes the best fit for our portfolios and for our plans. Now, continuing on, what do we see? Market structure reform going on right now in the face of all this. We're seeing the subcommittee on digital assets is happening live right now, and they're talking specifically about what's going on with digital assets. We don't need to really listen to this, but
that we're determining how to regulate crypto based on a 1940s case involving orange groves interpreting a law written in the 1930s.
So you see, they're trying to get the regulatory framework into a more productive and more related structure of what's going on with the current technology versus how they did it, from orange mangrove groves securities from a Howey law back from 1933 or whenever it was. We got a lot of making up to do, and it looks like they are. In the face of all this turmoil, we still have this productive, active growth in what's happening on the legislative level here in the United States. So we have to remember that. And then remember, there's other economic things going on today, tomorrow, Friday. This is just a nonstop onslaught of just news cycle that just keeps confusing everybody all day long, every day. Wednesday, what do we got? USD right here. So FOMC member Barkin speaks. So he's probably been speaking for a little bit now. We don't need to tune into that. The 10-year bond auctions also happening today. The FOMC meeting minutes happening at 2 p.m. This will be interesting in how it moves the markets based on the tone that was in the last FOMC meeting. However, we have to consider that the economic landscape, the geopolitical, the trade landscape has shifted so dramatically in the last 2 weeks that this may put specific and highlighted pressure on what some of the things are in the FOMC meeting minutes. This is basically the bulleted, what do we talk about and what were the possibilities we were talking about between all the different Fed board members in the last Fed rate cut decision meeting. Are we going to pause? That's what the FOMC meetings are about. Where are we at on everything going on with the economy, with the federal interest rates, what we're doing with the bank, with the central banks and all these things. Where's unemployment? Where's inflation? But now it looks like the global markets are breaking, kind of at the move of what we've done here in the US. Is this the max pressure Trump was trying to put on? Again, I'm asking you. We don't know. Nobody fully knows except for people very deep in the administration. But this is ushering that circumstance now that based on what they said, there might be things they discussed that, man, if these certain metrics hit, then we might look at cutting at blah, blah, blah. And today, now all this economic information has changed so dramatically. It's going to be interesting to see how the market plays with that. And then tomorrow we've got M2 money supply from Chinese M2 money supply. It's popping out. The core CPI month over month coming out at 8:30 tomorrow. The CPI is coming out. Unemployment claims. We're getting so much economic news this week, in addition to having the global economy, or the global markets, I should say. Economies will follow somewhat what the markets are doing, and the markets will also impact. They work in tandem, but they're not directly. If the market's down, it doesn't mean the economy is crashing. You have to first understand that. S&P drops, it doesn't mean the economy is going to shit. No, because we're still seeing strong market conditions. We're just seeing global, like the financial markets are having some speculative sell-offs and de-risking. So let's understand that also. Now, getting into some of the more prescient things, looking at price action, looking at what's going on right now, understanding that not only is the digital asset subcommittee meeting right now, we also see the global TradFi markets are in shambles right now, all while Bitcoin's path forward is only getting stronger, more bullish, more substantiated about the path forward for Bitcoin. In fact, this market turmoil right now with futures crashing and the 10-year going up and all this, Van Eck confirms that China and Russia are settling energy trades in Bitcoin. Market frustration max right now, while Bitcoin's bull case is only getting stronger and stronger by the day. We are not bullish enough. We are getting far too fudded out by the red in the traditional markets, not realizing that Bitcoin is ultimately going to end up the risk on or risk off asset. It's the flight to safety. It is the ultimate freedom tool. It is the democratized ability to bank everybody in the world, whether you're banked or banked, no matter your religion, race, creed, gender, geolocation. This is the ultimate freedom tool. And it's got that fixed supply of 21 million. And it's only just beginning, everybody. So let's get into some of this data, because we got a CME futures gap directly above us, $82,000. I point this out because in the event that the price action does start to push up, recognize that not only do we have a CME futures gap there, that is a range low. So do not just go overboard with bullishness if the price action pushes up into this potential bull trap before this could get rejected and come down or, trade sideways. We have a couple key areas that we want to break above before we get super bullish. Now, when we look at this on this, when we look at this chart here, this is a bull trend. This is what a bull trend is. We have higher highs, higher low, higher high, excuse me, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. You see this low here, even tested a previous range high, higher high, still higher low, only testing a previous range high. We're getting so wrapped in the fear narrative that we feel like it's over. In fact, all we're still seeing is a bullish trend on Bitcoin. This may not continue with all the turmoil going on. This may break down. We may see something like we saw here in this intermediary cycle, a little mini bull market, mini bear market with the black swan. We could get something like that. You have to recognize anything's possible with what's going on with this sort of reordering in the world. But currently, if you cut out all the noise, this is just a bull trend. Boom. And if this does break down, we've got levels. If we lose this, then we start getting a little bit more worried. We'll be looking, a little bit of the lower price actions. But currently, we're still looking incredibly bullish for Bitcoin with the awareness of the turmoil going on, not only in altcoins, but more specifically, and what we're seeing on the dollar index, what we're seeing on the collapse and breakdown of Chinese markets and Singaporean markets and Korean markets. We're seeing pressure across the board. All the while, we have a lot of different tools at our disposal that could, not only these different countries coming to the table to sort of end up and having dramatically lower tariffs across the board, but also Fed interest rate cuts, I mean, quantitative easing, reverse repo market. There's so many different tools that we're going to see, but we're really watching this like a hawk. The dollar index, if this does start pushing back up, this is going to crush Bitcoin and stocks and stuff like that. But currently, it's actually interestingly been holding up here. It's below this zone of uncertainty, which is Z2 trend lines, but currently we're still on the edge of that. If this does start to break down, this is when we start getting very, very worried for not being positioned. If this starts to break down, this would be ultimately very good for Bitcoin. So looking back over here, Bitcoin is looking relatively good. If we turn off the moving averages, this is still looking, we're still holding the bullish structure. This is the zone I'm really looking for, $69,000 to $74,000, pushing into this. This is where throughout all of this, I'm still very confident in this bullish trend. And then you start getting invalidated if this breaks down, finds a rejection, and moves. But interestingly, when we come over here and look at Ethereum, this has just been bleeding to the downside. Ultimately, look at where it went. This is ETH to Bitcoin. And look at where it's at. It came down to prices not seen since 2019, end of 2019, very beginning of 2020. So this is either going to be the most epic buy opportunity setting up for Ethereum, or Ethereum's going to have a lot of problems looking into the cycle, the near midterm ahead. It's lost all these other trend lines, but bam, this has come right down into this zone where there's been a lot of chop here. And we're sitting in that zone right now. Is this the ultimate buy opportunity for ETH? Well, we're not seeing any bullish divergences. We're on the 3-day chart. Let's go down to the daily. So, I mean, this is still looking weak. I would wait for getting some sort of bullish divergence or something that signals that something is happening here. But then conversely, we got other charts. XRP, we talked about it yesterday, still have that. Let's see if this is adjust. See, this has changed a bit. Let's see how this is looking now. So the bullish divergence on XRP has, for the most part, evaporated. We can see a little bit of a bull div right here. If you come right here, this is fairly flat. We are seeing much lowers, but it's feeling non-determinable in the price action here. If this can't hold 161, I'm looking for that 140 target, 142 to 145. But currently, this is still holding up relatively well in this zone. I think everybody, and this may be a bearish signal, I think everybody is in some ways still holding on without max capitulation. And if that's the case, then we could see XRP take the swing down to 145, down to 111. Similarly with Sol, holding up at this $100, $105 mark, holding just on the edge of this descending trend line. If Solana, we've had this marked out down here for some time, and it made no sense up here at $295. But ultimately, what did we see? We saw this is that pump following the Trump coin launch that really brought a lot of liquidity to Solana, but then in general, the not only the deflating of liquidity from other parts of the market that happened. Remember, it went to like 70 something billion dollar market cap. People were moving, rotating capital, trying to take advantage of that. It changed a little bit of the nature of the market. That also marked roughly the top of what we saw in the crypto, in Bitcoin specifically, but also the last bit of hopium we saw in the altcoins that then have been ultimately bleeding since. And now this has come down in the target that we've had, or at least a level we've been interested in since back in January 2024. Almost a year. Look at that. And remember, just note to self, is it over? Well, first off, Solana did a 35x from the bottom, 35x. So this is still, I think relatively bullish, with the caveat of this looking like complete dog shit. This right here, this looks very bearish. This looks like a top that wants to break down quite a bit further. I don't think it's going to, but just looking at this pattern right here, it's almost like a rounding top, right? It's got this rounding top nature. It's coming down into these zones. If this loses this, I don't think it's coming all the way back down here. That would be ridiculous. But I'm looking at these barriers. I mean, I think it's possible we hit into the sub 100 levels, basically low 90s, low 90s to mid 80s. The market is feeling very uncertain right now. But in this zone, this zone that we're in right now, depending on what your time horizon is, it could be an opportunity because we do see something that we don't see on ETH. What do we see? Bullish divergence. What do we see? We see the RSI having higher lows, the attempt at a higher low. Let's see this. This is barely, look at this, barely trying to hold on to that. If this holds on and we get these lower lows, this is looking like it's trying to potentially set up for something. But we got all this economic news this week we've got to pay attention to. But my question to you right now is, what are you doing? Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you sitting on your hands? Drop a 1 in the chart if you're taking positions right now, taking longs. Throw a 2 in chat if you're staying aware, but you're not making moves. Throw a 3 in chat if you're like, screw this, I sold. I'm looking for opportunities, but this is just too bothersome to me. I'm curious to see what you guys can't lose the 50. Well, let's look at what's going on here. Let's turn on the moving averages here on the daily. Yeah, I mean, look at this, just rejection. I mean, just it's looking weak on the daily. What are we looking like on the 4 hour? Okay, on the 4 hour, yeah, I mean, this it just looks very stair-steppy. I'd be very cautious here. Same thing with Link. Came right down, bounced twice now on that $10, mid $10 that we talked about for many months ago. I can't believe we're getting Link at, I think this is the most undervalued coin in, especially in the top caps, in the top 20. I think it's probably among the most undervalued coin for the integrations that are coming to Link with Swift and DTCC, and the fact that they're integrated with the large majority of the crypto ecosystem and bridging Web 2, the legacy sort of the old digital, right? All the web stuff before, the banks, companies, data, trading. I mean, the Oracle nature that it does, the interconnectivity. This is, I think, the most undervalued coin out there. And we're sitting here at price levels that the last time, I mean, we've just been in this range since October, since back here in October 23, since April 2022. I mean, we've had deviations up, deviations back down. October 2020. You see, this is dotted line is where the price action is right now, right in the middle of basically, it's almost like the point of control. But guys, I mean, I couldn't be more bullish on where we're going. The frustrating thing with the market right now is the complete global economic shakeup of everything in the market, showing all this red in the crypto ecosystem, but also on other equities, commodities, global markets right now. We're seeing max frustration right now, which is why altcoins are also not performing as well as we want them to. I do think there's a day in the sun. I do think we get that ultimate bullishness. I do think that Bitcoin is still in a bull trend, as we can see on this structure, until the price action breaks below these levels. Do I start saying, okay, we're not in a bull trend anymore? But we have not broken below the previous range high. We have not tested this larger trend line. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but we have to take the trends that we're in on the 4 hour chart. Complete defined downtrend. Absolutely. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. We got to see where this next potential lower high is going to be. But we're letting this play out on a daily basis because this is causing such turmoil and what we're seeing in the markets right now, not just the US, but global markets, that there's going to start being some circuit breakers hit. And I don't mean stocks stop getting traded like we're seeing, like we saw in the Asian markets the other day. But Bitcoin's holding up relatively well considering what we're seeing in the markets. Really, I mean, relatively well. Let's look at this chart right here. Fair value. Are we at fair value? What is fair value? Considering this chart right here, it's about $75,000. $75,000 is essentially what we're testing, which is essentially this middle band right here that we've reclaimed after the COVID breakdown. Reclaimed, boom, launch. Look, we got rejected, much like we did here on that 2019 push to $13,000, $14,000. And then look, then you reclaim. So look, we got rejected. We're sitting here right now. Are we going to have another instance like this in 2019 into 2020? Or is it going to be like this? The rejection at the overvalue band right here. See, overvalued, boom, that rejection, finding support on fair value, all and until we finally got separation launch. It's a different cycle because we have a different world financial system shakeup. on the event horizon of Bitcoin also being at this mass adoption window. Right now is not time to put your attention away and get out of the way. Right now is to stay locked in and find opportunities in this market and figure out what your plan looking forward is, because we're seeing all signs of what's to come. And typically you get the most frustrating moments before you get the ultimate goal. You know, I mean, this just had frustrating moments all the way up with 15 to 50% drops all the way to the upside. And we're sitting here right now currently in about a 32% dip from the previous all-time high, about 32% into a zone that we already had mapped out on the chart. So right now, stay locked in, tune in here, tune in Discover Crypto, BitLab Academy, Blockchain Basement, Frankie Candles, Tom Crown, Jason Casper. There's so many different great streams out there that you can stay in the know, and everybody's got slightly different opinions. And okay, I'm not right. Frankie Candles isn't right. Discover Crypto is not right. None of us are right. We all are taking different ingredients of data that we're looking at on this markets and coming to a conclusion and opinions based on our experiences. So it's important to have different data sets you're looking at, right? You're not just looking at price, look at RSI, you're looking at money flow, you're looking at fib, trend lines. But similarly, you all can use us like different ingredients that are pulling those different things together to also form your own opinion on what you want to do in this market. No love, Kelly. What do you say? Big love. I got love for everybody, man. Yeah. Boogaloo Bum says, hi, says Greenwich Garden. Just got some Axelar at the ATL. A shout out squeeze. We got too cash poor right now. How many of you all are feeling like that? Are you guys feeling like this too many damn dips and then the dips and then the dip of the dippity? It's like, do you feel like it's just max frustration? I know it's getting there. We're starting to, it's like 4 on extreme fear on the stock market. It's like 10 or 14 or something like that on what we're seeing with the crypto market. But all in all, there's a lot of conflicting data. What we're seeing, we got money flow likely about to tick up soon. We've already been seeing the global liquidity having that move to the upside. We know the impact of the global liquidity on basically risk assets, the load up, the fueling of the car to ride up the mountain. And we're on that precipice. And we've seen this. Colin Talks Crypto really has been highlighting it well. Quentin Francois is reemphasizing this. We're currently following that trend of the money flow. And this is basically, they're adjusted from about 100-day variance there. So overlay what the path has been right on. Is this about to take place? That would look something like, zooming in here, that would look something like the price action essentially. Let me do this real quick. God, Lee, come on. There we go. That would essentially look like the price action chopping through here. Remember, we're under the death cross that just happened. And then this is too many days because we're on 3 days. Let me go to 12 hour. There we go. Chopping through here, coming up, rejecting, and then into the end of May, potentially starting to make that move. And what would that relate to? What would that relate to? That would relate to into the end of May. Yeah, so I want to actually adjust this. I want to make this this is just an example, but I want to make this as somewhat accurate as possible on an assumption of how the market might move into the end of May. Now, this is very ugly, and this would relate to what we saw with this right here. Look at this, 51 days into the end of May. Look at that. And what did we see? Why does this measurement matter? This is complete hyperbole. This is complete, not hyperbole. This is complete metaphoric, an analog of what we saw, the average of the last 2 times we did have a death cross on the daily, how much time it took to resolve back to the upside. And already, look at this massive breakdown, but already big move up there in that time frame. What we saw back here are we on the daily? Why are these all jacked up? All jacked up. There's another one here. There we go. 35 days, 67 days. These two average gives you about 51 days. And that would be perfectly relevant to an assumption of something like this, which is correlated with what we're also seeing right in here. coming into May, into the end of May, pushing up. This is just hope right now. But as the Bitcoin trend still shows bullish structure, I'm looking that direction. We've already outlined the downside targets, so let's not get lost in that. Now we look at Near protocol. Absolutely. I love Near. I got Near, you can see it on my backdrop right here. I got Bitcoin and Near on my two pillows back there. I love Near. In fact, we had quite a bit of Near in that altcoin portfolio we've been building together. I haven't made many. The only move I've made in my alt portfolio, recently is I've made some ads to DAG. I made some ads to Ondo. I made some ads to Chainlink and Arrow. I made some ads, and Near we sold. And why would I sell? Because I was looking at what was going on in the dynamic with the AI sector and the shakeup of confidence when the DeepSeek thing happened, and all this wasn't really performing. And luckily so, because that was roughly when we sold, was somewhere in this zone here. And look at the savings we got. Now we can spend the same amount and get more than twice as much, or I can spend 60% less and get that same amount and leave that other capital for other assets that I want to add to. I do think Near is going to perform well, and it's looking weak right now, so it's a good thing. I mean, it's coming down. I mean, it's not looking super bullish at the moment. I mean, it's looking so weak. Little bit of a bull div, very small bull div right here. Higher lows, lower lows, but this does not represent some massive reversal. This could just be pushing up into this and continue down. I'd wait for a little bit of a swing here. Aerodrome just bleeding to the downside and looking weak. W formation, slight higher low here. But until we can break free of this zone back into this territory, I did add the other day somewhere about right in this region here on this bounce, and it lost it. Okay. I got other contracts coming in here in a couple of days. I'm going to be picking some areas to add some positions. Cardano's looking similar here with the breakdown, W formation. What else we got? We haven't looked at Say in a minute. Breakdown, W formation. They're all following the same path. Jasmy looking like it's got a little bit of a move to the upside. Inverse head and shoulders here with the kind of deviation wick. This looks a little bit more bullish. This does look a little bit more bullish. Got bullish divergence right here too on the 4 hour. See that? Higher low on the RSI, lower low on the price. Inverted head and shoulders. This might be setting up for a little bit of a move. Algorand, the breakdown with the W formation. It's across all these charts right now. It's patient season. It's allow yourself to find opportunities that work for you. That you're also, if you're going to actively trade, make sure you're using your stop losses. If you're going to buy a position for what you hope for the run, then you got to buy with conviction and be either willing to hold or be willing to add to lower average entries. But this is the part of the market that so many people are going to, if you make it through, and I am confident so many of you will make it through, especially if you're following along with what we're doing here at Discover and BitLab Academy and Blockchain Basement, and what I'm doing with the spaces on the Mario Not-Fall channels with so many brilliant, smart people being able to hear their thoughts and impacts of what's going on with the economy. Keep yourself educated on what's going on, because in 6 months or 6 years, you're going to be able to dude, I was there for that max chop, just confusion of the markets. So everybody keep your head up. Let's see who's live right now. Let's see who's live. We'll send some people over to, let's see who we're going to redirect to. Let's go flood in there and show some BitLab love into who we're going to send to. Who's live right now? I can't do nobody's live. Let me see. Anybody? Bueller? Redirect. Anybody? Tom Crown is live, apparently upcoming. It says that is for scale. Yeah. So he's live. That's in an hour, but it's all good. I'll send you over to Tom Crown's pre-stream for the FOMC meeting minutes. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. We get no super chats. No, nothing. So, all right. If you guys ever really want to see something, super chats for coins, that's how we get them in. But I love you guys. I'm going to roll now and keep your head up. Adios, everybody.